Katie, would you mind sharing your screen because my computer is very laggy at the moment? Or
Sure.
either.
I'm happy to share my screen. Do you want to start by saying anything, or do you want me to chime in and then kick things over to Woke to have him talk about his curatorial vision for the project?
I'll just introduce you two.
Okay.
Most people already know Katie because she's juror one of our shows before. I can't remember. It was the JCC show, but I don't remember the name of it. If anybody
I don't know
knows
if it had a name. Did it have a name?
No, it was open.
It was just open. Okay. Yeah, so most people know Katie, and Woke is a spectacular muralist and artist in general from North Nashville. Right now, he's currently doing a mural on the side of I believe it's the OT real estate building in North Nashville. It's a large scale mural that he's working on, so I'm pretty sure he'll tell you more about that. But I guess we can get it started, Katie.
Okay, well, thank you all. It's nice to see you guys again. I can't even remember when we did that that project. Was it a year ago, 6 months ago at all? I'm still in like blurred timeline here, but it is so nice to see you all. If I could just, if you don't mind, make a slight correction, Emily. I am not the curator of this project, but I did work closely with Woke 3, who is the curator. But I just thought maybe I'd share a little bit of background of how this developed at the Frist. You all may remember I'm a curator at the Frist Art Museum. And if you don't mind, I'll just share my screen. This is a presentation that I shared with some other folks. Let's see if we can get this going. So I actually often say that this exhibition began with the Chicago-based artist Nick Cave, in addition to his studio practice, which largely encompasses making sculptures out of objects he sources from flea markets and antique stores. He also directs multidisciplinary performances, and rather than bringing his own troupe of musicians and spoken word artists and dancers to the hosting city. The real point of the whole project is he tasks the hosting institution with sourcing the talent. And in that way, he wants us to get to know our own community, our own creative community much more deeply and much better. So we presented an exhibition of Nick's work in the fall of 2017, and then that ran through, fall of 2017, it ran through June of 2018. And we did present an amazing performance at the Schermerhorn Symphony Center in April of 2018. And happily, that was my project. And I worked with my colleagues in the education department to not only find a venue, but to, as Nick tasked us with, to get to know more about our creative communities, and especially communities of color. And so while we were doing research, I'll call it research, is going to Slim and Husky's research in North Nashville, I was really floored by some of the murals I saw, the public art, the street art, just all around me, more than some of the more decorative things that you might see in the Gulch. These works of art really, were speaking to social issues, to history, to the community in a really meaningful way. And so that really struck me. And fast forward a couple of years, and I opened an exhibition at the Frist called The Murals of North Nashville Now. And it really celebrated some of the artists that I saw on those initial research trips for Nick Cave, but then I got to learn about other artists, and we pulled together this an amazing exhibition with this very, very talented group of folks that you see here on screen. Along the way, I have to admit, I was new to public art, to so-called street art, graffiti, murals. These were all new terms for me, and I was really lucky to get to know the artist Woke 3. You can see a picture of us on the right. Yes, I'm short, he's tall. But we got to know each other well throughout this project, and he really served as my advisor, whether it was in terms of how we physically were able to commission these pieces, what kind of structure would work, or substrate, you know, to what color we would paint the walls. He really was my guiding hand, and we also became friends. And so that show was up through the fall of 2019, and it came down on January of 2020. Of course, we, you know, Woke and several of the artists and I continued to stay in contact once, you know, the real 2020 started and everything was getting crazy. And I should say that Woke is he initiated a wall fest in North Nashville in 2015 called the North Wall Fest, and that was an amazing time where how many murals? I mean, like a dozen at least, if not more, murals, newly commissioned, newly made murals really were made throughout North Nashville, largely under Jubilee Bridge, right by Fisk, but in other places along Jefferson Street as well. So 2020 hits, things are getting crazy. And actually, I'll go back to this slide. And in addition to the pandemic, of course, in the wake of the murder of George Floyd, I couldn't help but seeing some really amazing photographs being posted by local photographers, including DaShawn and others. And in that moment, you know, where, you know, everyone, I think personally, as well as whether it's, you know, corporations like Nike or art museums, was kind of collectively thinking about how do we respond to this moment? How do we demonstrate our commitment to Black lives? And museums run in very slow time. Museum time is like no other. We're planning shows out 4 years or so, if not more. And in my mind, it was really important that we try to respond quickly, you know, that we needed to do something to show that we cared, that we didn't just put a statement out, but that our actions demonstrated that we are a part of this community and we want to be a part of this movement. And at the time too, nobody, to be honest with you, was really coming into the Frist building. We reopened late June, early July, and people were not coming. And so I began to think in my mind, well, what if we did an online exhibition that, you know, kind of a conglomeration of some of these photographs that I'm seeing online, and of course, many others. I knew that there would be tons others. Of course, we all felt like, in addition to the pandemic and the calls for racial justice, Nashville also had this tornado that happened on March 3rd. So we were feeling like our city was, you know, having a particularly tough time. And so I thought, well, you know, I'd like to do something like that. But then immediately I realized that this would be a great opportunity to pass the mic, which is an expression I heard used by an Indigenous woman, an Indigenous curator who was the co-curator of an exhibition that we presented at the Frist in 2019, also called Hearts of Our People, Native American women artists. I think that was the name. I forgot. Liz, you're on there. You can correct me. And that was something that really struck me, that let's make room for more voices and for more perspectives in museum work, that let's pass the mic. And so I was kind of just pitching this to the curatorial team, to our director, and saying, you know, let's have a guest curator. And my boss said, like, who? And just, you know, I don't know if I had just spoken to him, but just Woke. I said, Woke would be great at this. And as I heard myself, as I was kind of like talking it through with my colleagues, I knew that he was capable of really ambitious projects like the North Wall Fest. Woke is very tied to the community, and people really respect him. People answer his call when he calls them. That photo that I showed you of all the artists, he was able to pull that off in a matter of hours, which still blew my mind. Just that, like, he is, you know, he makes things happen, and he's an artist, so of course he has a great artistic eye, and he seemed like just the right person to um, to curate, to organize this project. And so he came up with the title in 2020, and the rest is really his vision. Woke, if you're ready to talk about you know, how you developed your ideas for the show, I can pass things off to you. I also I do have a PowerPoint with some images from the show if you want me to do that. Do you want me to maybe stop sharing my screen and have you talk, and then maybe we go through some images?
You can go through the images. I can just say a little bit about how, you know, my experience and stuff, and then you can go through the images after that if you want to, or you can do it while you're.
Okay, well, why don't I give you the full floor, and then we'll come back to that. Does that sound okay?
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, great.
How y'all doing? So I go by Woke3. My name is Jay. And yes, so Katie had contacted me about this project, and you know, I was excited to do it, and to be able to curate a project like this. I hadn't really done curation too much before, and so, you know, after we talked about the idea and things, I started to kind of, you know, do some research on, you know, some photographers and things like that. I was trying to, you know, I really wanted to be able to use some of the images that I knew some of my friends were out, you know, grabbing, like Kept Frozen or DaShawn. So I wanted to be able to, because those are photographers that I know closely and things like that, but I also wanted to have photographers or meet photographers or artists that I had never really, you know, met or not familiar with their work. And then the show ended up becoming more than just photography. It ended up becoming, you know, performance art, film, and everything like that. Some spoken word artists played a part. And that was just because of a conversation I had with my partner. She ended up giving me the idea of why just have photography when you can have, you know, performance art and all these other different practices. And that's something I like to include different art forms in these projects that I did. So that was a good idea. And then she had more connections with performing artists and dancers and things. So me and her basically worked together and were able to create what you see now within 2020, along with the help of everybody who participated. But so that's basically how it became how it is now. It started off photography, and then, you know, through conversations with just artists and my partner and things like that, it ended up growing. And that's what it is anyway. 2020 kept, you know, going and kept going, and there was no real, like, let's do this in the middle of 2020 and do this project, and then, you know, we have the rest of 2020 to go with. You know, the project just basically grew as, you know, as the year went on. And that's even how my work even is created. I'm in the middle of doing a mural right now, and it's complete freestyle. So, and it's just going as I'm painting. I'm not really planning too much.
Yeah, Woke, and I think that you talking too, like initially we thought, oh, you know, we'll look at like all the photographers in the whole city and see what they're doing and how they're documenting what they're seeing. And, you know, I think we got a copy of some of the like local magazines just to be like, oh, who's taking really compelling photos? And then I remember you coming and saying, you know, I feel like in order for this to be like, how can one show encompass even what just one city is feeling right now? Like that's too much. And I remember you saying that like it just felt more authentic to present these happenings like through the lens of your particular community, your creative community in North Nashville. And so that's when we decided, yeah, let's focus on North Nashville, on these artists that you've already known, the photographers, you know, some you weren't, you know, super tight with, but you at least knew of them and their work, and that it just made sense to kind of have that focus, that lens. Sometimes because, as you've pointed out, the the story of the tornado in North Nashville didn't maybe get quite as much press as it did in other places. And we thought it was important to kind of highlight those stories and those narratives. And so that made a lot of sense to me, to kind of go deeper within, you know, one community. And I think too, when you're saying that, you know, it never ended. Like at first we thought, especially, you know, my impulse of like, we've got to do this right away. We've got to like launch this in August. Well, 2020 kept on happening. I think you could argue it kept on happening even into 2021 a little bit. And we realized too that maybe it was important to kind of see what happened with the election. And I, you know, I've said to some folks that when the bombing happened on Christmas morning, like for better or for worse, one of the first things I thought about was, gee, I wonder how Woke's gonna incorporate that into the story of in 2020, because we decided in the fall that we would launch the exhibition on March 3rd, which is the 1-year anniversary of the tornado, of course. So in the end, I think that it, you know, nobody knew what a big year 2020 would be when we even started this project, and I'm glad that we were in the end able to kind of show the full circle of that. Do you want to talk a little bit about the title, Woke? That was something that, you know, I think you honed in on that right away, and I think it says so much about the project.
Yeah. So the whole idea was to go within 2020, and yeah, I actually, so it was hard for me to tell the perspective, you know, tell a story about 2020. You know, I'm from North Nashville. I've only lived out in North Nashville. Yeah, you can take it. And so I can only, and after the tornado and throughout 2020, I was kind of more going within myself. I wasn't really out too much. And after the tornado, I really didn't just leave. So I didn't see the rest of what Nashville was going through and things. And it was hard for me to be able to just, you know, talk about the rest of the Nashville. You know, I had to talk about, you know, my community and, you know, where I'm from and things like that. Plus we didn't get that much coverage after the tornado came, even though we had a whole bunch of people out in the neighborhood, you know, from all over coming to help. People's, you know, houses and that were caved in and trees falling on people's houses and things like that. So in 2020, the name in 2020 came from, of course, going within, but also, you know, Nashville, North Nashville, the nation. It was all, you know, it was all basically talking about, I still wanted to talk about the whole, you know, even I wanted to talk about the whole country of what we're going through, even the world. But I just wanted to use the N because the N just represented so much. And most importantly, going within yourself. So that was it. That was the reason why we chose in 2020. It's because and a lot of people from North Nashville are familiar with that N that we use with the arrow. So I thought it would be another good play on, you know, a subtle play on talking about North Nashville.
Yeah, and I think that is, in my mind, Woke, one of the real, you know, powerful elements of the exhibition is that, you know, a lot of the photographs are particular to Nashville, to maybe North Nashville, but they're also ones that many of us can also relate to. So there's both these threads, these through lines that I think everybody in the community, in the city, in the nation, we can all relate to, but then there's also opportunities to learn more about how the year impacted people that are different than each other. And I think there's a great opportunity to kind of understand and to build bridges in that regard too. Do you want to go ahead and look at some images? Should I kind of run through them?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I must admit that this is kind of a highlights reel, and I didn't double check to see who's in it, but I'm sure at least some of DaShawn's are there, and we could maybe kind of walk through. The exhibition presents itself chronologically.
Sure.
Let's see. Here we go. Let's go. So the exhibition actually begins with a newly commissioned spoken word piece by an artist named Karima. you want to say anything about Karima and how you got to know her, Woke?
I guess each panel has a different role that they do.
Give me 1 second. So Karima is, I've been knowing Karima since we worked together at Kroger's. That was about 10 years ago almost. So I've been knowing Karima for a while. And then she went to TSU, of course, and that's where I ended up getting introduced to Writer's Block, spoken word group, artist group, and it's been around for a long time. And so, of course, when it comes to spoken word or anything like that, I always think about them just because they're really creative, and every time they create something or do something, it's always good. I'm always interested in it. And then Kareem is really deep herself, her and her husband. So I just knew it'd be important to have her open it up. I knew she could open up this show with her voice. Because her voice you kind of pay attention to when she speaks.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And I don't think I have an audio clip of it, but of course, I hope that everyone here goes to the Frist Art Museum's website and checks out the exhibition, or better yet, come to our auditorium. Once people started coming to the building with that Picasso show, we realized that this was an opportunity. We wanted, to capture that audience as well. So someone had the great idea of screening it in our auditorium. And it's pretty awesome to see on the big screen, especially when you hear Karima starting with her spoken word poem, which again, it was very specific. It was once Woke selected the photographs, then Karima wrote the poem to go with it. And so there are words that match up with every image, and it's really powerful. I don't think I had the audio file yet. I don't think it had been recorded when I made this presentation, so I apologize. I don't have a clip of that, but please do check it out. As Woke said, Karima is part of a 3-person spoken word poet group that consists of her husband Newly and another poet named Twigs that we'll see in just a minute. So first is this overview by Karima. She's walking around through North Nashville, especially going to the sites where you see some of the destruction from the tornado. Fire is a recurring theme that we see kind of throughout the exhibition too. Let's see, that usually means there's an audio, but yep, here it is. I forgot, that was actually a nice little clip, a nice little summary of everything, but it gives you a sense of her voice and her words. So the show actually opens with this photograph that Woke took. If I can share for you, Woke, one January morning, early morning, he walked out and he saw this car on fire on his street on Hyman, and he instinctively ran and got a camera and took the picture, and in his mind he knew, or he wondered, is this kind of a premonition for the year to come? And yet I think even he didn't think it would be quite the year that it ended up being. So we kind of started the show with that photograph. It's the only one by Woke in the show, and then there are a selection of photographs depicting the tornado. This is one by Woke's fellow North Art Collective artist, Keep 3, one of my favorite works in the show. Woke, jump in here. I'm just kind of going through, but if any images that you want to talk about in particular, or something that struck you, by all means, jump in.
Well, like you said about the first photo, that was it was a car that was catching on fire in front of the house, and somebody's car caught on fire at the beginning of the year, and they just left it. They kind of left it right there. And I ran outside. I told my roommates to move their cars, so just in case it blew up or something. but I ran out and grabbed my camera and then just started taking pictures of it because I mean, it was, this car was sitting out on fire in front of the house, and I was kind of like, I felt like somebody should take some pictures of it just because of the way the fire, because it looked, how it looks. So I ended up thinking just how I usually think at the beginning of the year, kind of like things that happen in the beginning of the year are usually how my year is going to go, or how, I thought this was kind of telling me like how the year was going to go for everyone, or if it's going to be just for me, or I don't know how this is going to happen, because the car is just on fire in front of the house. So, and then, later on, we ended up having a tornado. You kind of heard about the COVID starting to happen and spread. You didn't think it was going to happen over here, and it ended up happening. So this thing started picking up. And then just the theme of fire, from reading this book, The Fire Next Time, and James Baldwin. I ended up reading that book just because I wanted to see, what it was about, what it was about, because people kept bringing it up to me throughout the process of putting this show together. People kept bringing up Fire Next Time. So I read that book, and yes, the book was kind of, some of the things he was talking about, I could find in relation to some things that were going on right now. Some of the book was it was an interesting book, and I just kind of felt like that should be, what we're thinking about is this fire, all these different symbols and things that are happening around me and stuff like that. I just felt like this is what it should be about. You can keep going with the photos too.
And Woke, thank you for capturing that image, because those are images that like I go back and forth and say maybe I should take it, maybe I shouldn't. But when you get back to it, it's about documenting. And because you took that photo, I mean, that just put everything together. So
that's what it's about. I mean, documentation. That's what the whole show is. I mean, it's documentation. It's documenting what's going on, and that's important. So people can go back and look at this show and really see, kind of what some people were thinking, what was going on during this time period. These pictures right here were by Keep 3. You can keep going. Let it keep going. And so he kind of went out. The way I was kind of selecting photos too, it was kind of, I was looking through what folks were sending me. Like Keith went out and he caught the tornado damage, but he was unable to get anything else because of just other things he had to do, and he just couldn't get out as much to document anything. So I felt like he just had a lot of what was going on, the damage and things like that. I know they kept Frozen and DaShawn, they went out, and also Lee went out to, cap what was going on with the protest. And so when people were sending me their works, I was trying to see what they had the most of. Okay, all right. What they had the most of and things like that. And just kind of what I might have found attractive myself, or through conversation with my partner, maybe what she's interested in, or what speaks to her. The same thing, talking to Katie, just kind of getting, an idea, a feel of what should go and what should stay. Wanted to include that photo of the help of the people were helping deliver food, leave food at the Magruder Center. And I know DaShawn went out and caught some of that. People were out in North Nashville really, stepping up and really helping each other out. People who usually are just kind of, to themselves. A lot of people were out there helping, and it was just different. It was a different scene that I hoped would kind of change how things were going. And, but of course, later on we had COVID and all this other stuff, but.
So here's the now we transition from the tornado to COVID, and you're right. Well, you talked about like you wanted to have a balance between the images of the destruction, which was vast, but also the community and the recovery and people pulling together. And DaShawn's photo, I think, shows like there were so many. I mean, I know even I would try to go to Magruder, and they're like, "We've got too much. Go someplace else." Like it was really remarkable how people were trying to help each other. And then of course COVID hit, and this is an amazing video by Twigged, who is one of the members of the writer's block, and then Jay Reggae Rika, who's a musician in Murfreesboro, right? Woke.
I'm not sure exactly where he might be from.
Okay, I might be making that up, but anyway, he's amazing. So let's watch a little bit of that.
Does the sound go through it?
Is it not working?
Nope.
Oh,
Not for me.
Okay, then I think I know what I have to do. There's share sound. However many months later, I'm finally figuring out how to use Zoom properly. Let's try that again. Now can you hear it?
I'm about to tip
Great.
over.
You see, my mama had odd jobs. Oddly, they didn't care about her odds. She was on a deathbed several times and couldn't get a get well card. They said, retail don't care about your tail. Better sell our customers that fairy tale. Oh, you sick, we wish you well. Tell your kids we hope they fail so they can come and make your sale. Modern day jail, no bail. You walk into work every day with a big smile on your face. Requirements, realize you deserve more than what they give you. Enlightenment, no matter what you do, they still place judgment. They try to be the God in your life by you placing nothing above it. Worshipping that dollar like it's soul ties. Too tired to chase your dreams, so you settle for their lies. Notice how on the first day you was excited to have a new job. By the sixth day you realize you was a new slave. It's a new age of slavery. All this misguided bravery to think that she was 17 and just had a baby. She was making minimum wage. She was underage. She was born and raised to be a corporate slave. It's ridiculous. Can't get any more meticulous than this.
I've been working this pleasure. I'm about to tip over.
They asked me what I wanted to be when I was younger. I said, happy? Too many times did I see my parents on the grind and not have time for me. I just want that simplicity of living free. But why wasn't I born with a silver spoon in my mouth? Why did I have to doubt that I would one day be financially stable? I'm unable seeing that being possible without me having to share the most precious parts of me. So pardon me as I humbly refuse to be abused by a corporation that thinks I'm so easily replaceable. Telling me my dreams are so easily erasable. I walk into work and they say, look how much we pay you to be miserable. The only reason I show up is because my bills are due. I don't shoot the messenger. I'm just being real with you. I'm alongside you singing old Negro spirituals.
I've been working this. I've been working this. Ooh, shit. I'm about to tip over. I'm about to tip over. Ooh, I've been working this. I've been working this. Ooh, I'm about to tip
All right. So does this mean that you guys didn't hear Karima's video either?
No, I don't think the sound went through.
Okay, well, you guys were too nice. You should have told me.
Oh no, I realized.
Let me go back.
yeah.
That's too good. We got to listen to that. And even if we don't do everything else, like, you got to hear her words.
2020.
Now can you hear
Perfect
it?
vision.
Yep.
Maybe not the year you had in mind. Could it be our vision actually blind? Forced to sit still in this, we found struggle, resistance. Everything that was supposed to break us brought us close to who we really are. The road not easy, challenging and hard. God leveled the playing field. This year, so many truths revealed from the genesis of your revelation. This is not our final destination. So will you let the fire burn you or shine light within?
Okay, now we'll get back to our order. Sorry about that, folks. So after that video, then DaShawn's photo of the pandemic, definitely marked, okay, here we are in our chronology of 2020. That was such a, for me at least, I remember seeing the parks being closed, seeing the basketball hoops taken down. I mean, that made it really, really real. Was there anything you wanted to say about that? Well, we didn't have a ton of photos that spoke only to the pandemic, it seemed like, because I don't know if people weren't out, understandably, but there weren't like a ton of things that were only pandemic related, except for this picture.
So yeah, I mean, I really like the shots of the playgrounds being closed because of the fact they really did close the playgrounds and kept people from being able to really go outside and just to, I guess, just to get some kind of enjoyment outside, because that's the thing, we were all kind of inside. Some people were inside, and it was, some people were really miserable not being able to get out, and, not being able to see their friends or anything like that. Like being outside, it's just kind of like, it's the place, like especially basketball court or anything like that, playgrounds where everybody's kind of meeting up and the kids are playing and things like that. And it was just interesting that the whole thing was like, it was shut down. They removed the basketball, the nets from the basketball goals and things like that. So it was kind of, the pandemic was and is really happening. And
DaShawn, do you want to say anything about these photos? I think these are two of the ones that most speak to the pandemic. Do you want to share anything about what it was like going out and taking these? Obviously, this one's kind of devoted to the essential care workers.
Yes. Most of the time I have a camera with me, so it was kind of like nerve-wracking to go to the grocery store because you didn't know whether you were taking like a life risk or not. But for the most part, I was fine. I mean, I'm stayed true to my faith, so that helped me a lot. But I also want to make sure that, like Woke said, documentation is important. That some of these things were, I hate using the word capture because it sounds so off, but like these photos were made just so these people could be remembered in history. These were the people that were out there risking their lives on a daily basis, not knowing the outcome and not really being appreciated the way they should. I hear a lot of this hero talk and all that stuff. That's all, good, shine and glitter and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't help or support the people that are out there. What else should I say? But yeah, most of the time I just had my camera with me. I think the playground shot, I was still having to go back and forth to work. Most of my other co-workers were working from home, but playground shot, I think I was either leaving from work or going to work, and I just happened to see the tape around the playground. I decided to stop. And then the young lady was with her mother riding on the bike, and she just happened to walk like right there as I was getting ready to take that shot. So it kind of just lined up the way it did. And yeah, that's it. Unless you have another question.
Well, it's kind of perfect. And actually now, as I'm thinking it through, I hadn't made this connection, but I think a lot of kids, I mean, as Woke said, everyone was cooped up and we would try to go outside and get some fresh air, get some exercise. And there was a lot of, my daughter learned how to ride a bike this spring finally, just because we had nothing else to do. And so I think that bikes were popular for kids during the lockdown. And then I think as we move on to this photograph, this really became the signature image for the whole show. And Woke and I really kind of talked about, like, it tells you at a glance a time and a place. You see the photo or the rendering of George Floyd, and you see the Tennessee Capitol, and there's no question where you are. And I guess, DaShawn, I mean, this is such an important photograph. Could you maybe tell, I'm sure the situation was really different this day than it was when you were at the park or the grocery store. Do you want to share a little bit about your experience there?
Sure. Now this day, my anxiety was peaked a little bit more because it was a heck of a lot more people than the park and the grocery store. And we still were unsure about like how dangerous it was. And like this day I had, of course, most of the time I have a cap on my head, but like I had a mask on and I tied a towel around my face just to make sure, you know, everything was secure, and it was pretty hot that day. But for the most part, everything, you know, people were excited. They were riled up a little bit, but nothing too, you know, out of the ordinary or anything crazy. People were just expressing themselves, how they were feeling, what was going on, and you know, all those emotions, with the deaths of several Black people and going through the pandemic and all that stuff just came to a head, and people just need to get out their emotions. And this one in particular, I didn't think of it as, okay, this is a photo that what's the word? Encapsulates something.
Yeah, encapsulates, that works.
Okay, yeah, like just the time or the year. But after, like most of the time when I take photos, I look at stuff after the fact. I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But really, I was just walking by and just happened to see it. I took 2 quick shots and kept it moving because of just the environment of what was going on as far as like coronavirus and trying to keep myself safe as possible. But yeah, that day, during the daytime, everything was fine. I'm not sure, was this the same exact day that they, that the courthouse was set on fire? I can't remember.
That day it started peaceful, and then I can't. Well, do you remember?
I think it was later on in the night.
Yeah, I think it was
okay.
the same day.
Okay, so everything was cool. Everything was chill. Even through the night, everything was pretty much chill. And then the things happened at the courthouse when the guy broke the window and set a fire outside of it. But one thing I do want to say, they keep using the word riot, and I don't know if I agree with the word riot, but that's a discussion for another time.
I think that languages matters a lot, and intentionally, like I never want to say that word. I mean, unrest is, you know, less loaded politically in my mind. And 2, Woke and I were really interested in trying to get, there was that photograph that was taken by one of the Tennessean photographers of the guy like throwing the thing in the courthouse, like setting it on fire, doing that. Right. And of course he was white. And like, we thought that was really important to include in the exhibition. Unfortunately, we weren't able to use any of the Tennessean images for this project, but we thought that was really important to, we wish, I think that that could have been a part of the story. In the end, I think we kind of shied away from that, you know, the what happened later in the day or that night, just because with this kind of project, we didn't have a whole lot of like written interpretation to unpack it. And it seemed like just kind of throwing, we felt like it needed more context. So I think I have some more photos. Woke, do you want to say anything about the selection here? I mean, I think it was positive, you know, images is what was selected, you know, people coming together.
Right.
Yeah, I think that I think all the images were, especially being downtown, they were positive. I think that they were, I don't really want to show anything that's, you know, too disturbing or negative or anything like that, but I do want to show, you know, truth. And that was, you know, truth was that it was positive for the people that were down there. I mean, even this photo right here, I mean, it's a really interesting photo. How, you know, you have the cops lined up on one side, and then you have the people on the other side, but then the cops are just people, you know what I'm saying? Some of the cops are even dressed up and things, you know, or in their uniforms and things that were down there, you know, they believed in what was going on, you know. Nobody really wanted anything to get ugly or anything like that. Nobody wanted any buildings or anything burned down, I don't believe. Or I didn't. I just really just wanted, people to, everybody else, people wanted justice. So I believe that the photos were positive and they were good for people to see what was going on in Nashville.
You want to talk about this? This was one of the pictures that I really pressed you to include. Woke, do you want to talk about this event or this picture?
So bikes did get popular. People were biking a lot, just trying to get out. And then we had the Juneteenth ride in June. We had it was probably about 100 and some people that came out to bike with us, to bike around North Nashville. And it was just a good day. I mean, we started doing Freedom Fridays for a while, where people were just meeting up on Fridays just to get out and bike with each other and things like that, just to kind of get away, from everything that was kind of going on, just to feel more free. And so it's just like with this photo, it's kind of, and we were over there by Farmers Market and coming back around, and that's Ro Marquez right there, and some of his people, and we were just everybody was just having a really good time. And then afterwards, it was kind of like a party in the parking lot at One Drop Inc. And it was just a really good day. So I really like this photo. I really like the fact that Lee was able to get out there and capture this.
Yeah, I do too. I liked these photos because I felt like these bike rides that I knew were happening and I was seeing pictures of, I just felt like they were a really, maybe those are happening all over the country, but I'm not aware of it. So I felt like this was really kind of something special that was happening here in Nashville. And this was another form of resistance, of independence, of, community, being together, having free time, and, being able to just ride freely. It's something as simple as that was in its own way, just kind of a form of resistance. So I thought these photographs were really special, just because they were so unique and not something you were just seeing, in the news. Not that those aren't important photos too, but that's just kind of provided a little bit of insight. Then, yeah, go ahead, DaShawn.
Yeah, I was there too that day, and it was just like a sign of relief. Like, people were relaxing and, just enjoying each other's company, and like I said, just being out there on bikes, feeling the air, and, just riding around was just a great experience, something that everybody needed during that time.
Yeah, I there's some other photos from the day or from the night or the rides that I've seen, and you can tell in my mind, just there's like kind of just a sense of like breathing deeply and being able to like, not always having your guard up as a form of protest, but just being together collectively and supporting each other, I thought was really powerful in these photographs. So we moved from the summer into the fall. And of course, the big event, was the election. And this is another video that was produced using a broad swath of creatives in our city. So we'll play a little bit of that.
This thing right, we've got to vote. We are counting on you, vote. Some folks judge by the group you're in, where you live and your shade of skin. Right is wrong and wrong is right. We can never give up this fight. We've got to vote. those who gave their lives. Gave their lives to give you the power of choice. Raise your voice and join us. Vote, it's alright. Vote, we are obligated to those who gave their lives. Gave their lives to give us the power of choice. Let's make some noise. Vote.
Let's see. Oops. So Woke, that video, Angel, I think, was the one. She knew what some of the dancers that were in there, and that just seemed like a really important piece too. Once again, you had local musicians, local dancers, local vocalists, just a whole variety of folks that were honored. The local another mural artist, Troy Duff, and of course a lot of local medical heroes too, like Dr. Hildreth. So that seemed like a really important piece to kind of tell the story of the election. There is a photo, DaShawn, there's a photo that you took from one of the, I guess it was one of the voting places. It's what, I don't have it in my PowerPoint, but did you want to, with Omari Booker standing there? I'm pretty sure that's your photo, isn't it? You're on mute.
Okay, that was the day that we had the presidential debate here.
Oh,
And I can't remember what I was doing that day, but Amari, he called me and he was like, well, there's a lot of activity on, I think that was on Charlotte Pike that day. And he just kind of wanted to go out and document, and, he's an artist, so his mind is always going. So I came out with him and we just sat around and talked for a bit, and he just stood there, and that picture, I mean, it just says so much in one photo, just like the feeling of the day, just the feeling of the year. Yeah, pretty much that was it.
yeah, it's an intense photograph. And Woke, I think Woke, you saw that picture and you were like, we got to get that photo. And I think he hounded you for it. But it was important. It was important. Woke, and then of course the insanity, if you will, of 2020 didn't stop with the election. In December, we lost this beloved figure. Do you want to speak about Kwame, Woke?
Yeah, so Kwame was somebody I ended up meeting probably a few years ago. Which, I mean, I would talk to him whenever I would see him, or things like that. He was the person who founded the African Street Festival that happens every year in North Nashville. Like I said, he was a freedom rider, and just civil rights activist. I know there's a lot of stories of just good he's done in the community. And so, he had passed in 2020, which, hurt everybody because we just lost, basically one of our leaders, somebody who's, always, looking out for people in his community. So, that was just one of the sad things that just happened that year. And I mean, I'm actually painting him on a mural right now, Jefferson Street. And so, it was just, I just wanted to be able to, celebrate him, just even if it wasn't a lot, I just wanted to at least have him included so folks can, know him if they didn't, get to know him, or if they knew him, just take part in celebrating with us, basically. So,
Definitely. And didn't you get to know him particularly well when you were working on your civil rights mural over on Clarksville Pike, and just hearing him tell his stories from that time? Like, he definitely was still incredibly active and so interested in passing the baton to the next generation. figures artists like you?
Oh yeah. So I know when during that time after we finished that mural, he had came out. I know he was sharing, but I think he was more sharing with Joe and everybody. That day it was really an opening that you're talking about. It was, you know, the mayor at the time came down. They did something, you know, talking about the mural and things like that. And so he had came out, and he was holding up a sign, and I cannot remember what the sign had said, but it was. I just like the fact that he came out. He was. Do you remember DaShawn?
Yeah, I took a picture of it. It says, "Fight for Fort Negley."
Yeah.
Ah,
So
a
he
whole
came
other
out behind the mayor. He was behind the mayor, showing that sign, basically, fight for Fort Negley. So he was still in the game. He was still moving and still active.
definitely. Well, I'm so glad that we were able to track down that photograph. And then last but not least, I don't think I had a clip, but this is a major, these are just some stills from a major film project that Woke worked on with his partner Angel Adams. And well, Woke, why don't you talk about this project? It's really amazing, and everybody definitely needs to check it out online. It's it's maybe 12 minutes, is that right, Woke? But
I think so.
it's packed full of some amazing things. Do you want to kind of give an overview about what folks will see and what's in it?
Mm-hmm. So basically with that, you know, we wanted to do a short film basically talking about 2020 in one day. And so basically having a character that basically was experiencing all the things of 2020 in one day, because it just felt like you kept getting hit with so many different things that you were kind of experiencing this whole thing in just one day. Basically, every day was always something. And so she had a connection with all of those performers and things that you see in there, the dancers and the actor, the main character. She had a connection with them, so she kind of reached out and wrote the script and everything like that. And then we kind of used, when she was writing the script, she just used basically like how we were talking about, you know, talking from my perspective through the show. You know, the show starts out with a car on fire. And it's like, that's basically how it was at my house. We recorded at my grandma's house, you know, in my old room, or one of my old rooms. And just basically kind of played out some of the things that were going on. Like during the tornado, I kind of tried to drive around and get to my grandma's house to check on her and then check on some other people. So in the film, the character is trying to get out to go check on his mom and everybody else, and, you know, gets stuck because there's trees on the ground. And then he ends up kind of cleaning up with his friends, which, you know, I went out and I was out with my friends and we were kind of cleaning up. And then he kind of, you know, so it basically plays through these kind of different parts. He goes to basketball courts in the park, and tries to play basketball with his friends and things like that. Which actually we wanted to add a scene in there where they were going to be taking down the basketball net, but we shot that film in 2 days and we didn't get any sleep at all. So we were up throughout the whole weekend, just kind of recording. We were asleep we slept for like maybe 1 hour, got up at 5 the next day and started recording again. I mean, it was just an all weekend thing. So we didn't get a chance to add that scene, but so basically the whole film is just kind of this, like I said, playing out this year in one day. And it was really, I mean, it's all Angel. That was her. It was all thanks to her that film was able to come together like that.
Yeah, and it's really, it's amazing because it does take you from the car being on fire to the Christmas Day bombing and so many, you know, everything in between, but then moments of joy, you know, kind of breaks and all the intensity where you have like a dance off and then you have, you know, the folks playing the musical instruments in the car. In my mind, just kind of the pacing and the rhythm and the like balance of it all was just really poetic and beautiful. And you guys did an amazing job. So definitely please go check that out. I think Woke, I can hear you shaking those cans in the, well, I'll kind of stop there with my PowerPoint. I know that you are frantically working on your legacy mural now, the new big project. Do you maybe want to kind of speak about more about that project, what you're working on now, and then maybe we have a few minutes to answer some questions if anyone has them.
Yeah, and talk about the Wall Fest too.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So actually right now I'm doing a mural in the Gulch at the same time. So
What?
yeah,
Two
I'm down the
murals?
Gulch.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I'm doing that right now. But I was at the wall today. And so basically I'm just doing a mural on the Odie family's real estate building, which that's a family that's been around. The name's been in the neighborhood for over 100 years. I mean, they've owned property. They still own property, a lot of property. Their family is in the real estate. I mean, their family's been in the politics. I don't know. Their family's they've owned grocery store, i.e. Green grocery store back in the day. I mean, they're just one family that's just been around for a long time. And but the reason why I'm painting on their building is because that building is has a very large surface, a 4,000 square foot wall that I've been interested in painting since I started painting. So it was really great to be able to get that wall. But the mural is called Legacy, the Legacy mural, and what it's about is just about celebrating our past heroes, activists, and people who have poured energy into the community, but then also talking about the next generation and passing the baton to the next generation, passing on that legacy, just like what the Odie family has done. They've passed like the Odie the fourth, who is the grandson, who's the youngest, he's, now into like real estate and he's kind of doing things. And it's just like they constantly pass down their legacy. They're always passing down what they have to give the next generation of foot up. So I wanted to be able to talk about that, basically. Talk about, us preparing our next generation. Like as us being here now, thinking about, what are we going to do for, our family, our kids, or our community that's going to help, that next generation be able to move forward instead of just kind of like falling off and just kind of not doing anything, in preparation. Because, I have a kid, I have 2 kids, and it's just, I make sure that they're going to have, or they will have, or they have, support, or they have, I'm leaving them behind something, even if that's just skill set and knowledge, I want to be able to leave something that's going to give them a foot up. So I'm passing the baton over. I want to be able to pass the baton over to my kids and have them keep moving. And so the mural it has Kwame, it has Thelma Harper, it has, what else is in there? Marion James, Rosetta Perry, who started the Nashville Tribune. You have Odie that's Odie the second. That's Odie Senior and Odie the third, and then Odie the fourth. My daughter's in there. My friends' kids are all in there. People who live in the neighborhood, who live across the street from the mural, they're in the mural. We got people like have Jump and representation for Jump is in the mural. You have all these different folks who everybody in the mural is somebody who's either from North Nashville who has put their energy into the community. So everybody is familiar, or if you don't know, you get a chance to learn who they are. And so that's what the Legacy mural is. It's just being it's representing our community. It's representing our community, and I want to be able to leave something that's going to be there for a long period of time. I mean, we have a contract being created for that mural to be there for a minimum of 10 years. So that mural is able to sit there and be there as long as. And my daughter will be 15 by the time the mural is even talked about, like, coming down. She'll be 15 years old. So she'll be able to see herself as a 5-year-old in the mural, And I want kids who I'm painting in the mural to be able to see themselves when they get older. So it's something I can leave behind. Like, it's something that makes a statement when you walk that drive down Jefferson Street. Once you turn on Jefferson Street off at 28th and you go straight down, you can't miss it. It's right there on the right. The colors are complementary and very interesting. That draws your eye, so you're able to, you know, see what we're about. And I want you to be able to see that as you're going down Jefferson Street. So it's also, you know, this mural is hoping to open people's eyes in the community that, you know, we have so many people, so much history here. You know, I can't even fit everybody on the wall. You know, the wall is 4,000 square feet, and I can't even fit everybody up there. And so we have to be able to realize that, you know, we should be able to support our artists, and, you know, we're able to give them work by just saying, hey, we want Wilma Rudolph, who's on the wall now, but we want a representation of her going down the street. You know, we want somebody who's not even really well known to be on a side of a building or something talking about them. Like, let's celebrate the people here. It doesn't even have to be somebody we all know. Like, my grandma's on the wall, you know, like, or my grandma could be, you know, whatever. We have people, we want to show representation, you know. We want to celebrate the people that are here. So as North Nashville is changing and, you know, all these people are moving in, I mean, you got a mural up there that's there for 10 years. You drive down Jefferson Street, you know who was living here. You know what this neighborhood was about. Like, you know, you go down the street, who was here, who is here. And so that's what we want that statement. We want you to know who, you know, what kind of neighborhood you're driving through or you're coming through, you know. So, and then also the North Wall Fest, which was the beginning of all of that in 2015, we just did it again on June 12th, which we blocked off the streets in front of the mural on Jefferson Street, and we celebrated with the community. I mean, it was hot, but it was a good day. And it was in North Wall Fest is just a celebration of our neighborhood, and it's bringing these artists out into the public. And it's not just muralists, but it's also performers and the spoken word artists, things like that. You're bringing these folks who you're bringing them to the public's eye, you know, and showing our community who's out here, who's creating work, and, you know, and even if they're not from here, who's creating work that is in support of this community. Yeah. I don't know if I covered everything.
Oh yeah, I think that was great. And I encourage all of you. I mean, when Woke says this thing is big, I mean, this thing is massive. Like, I've been hearing about it forever, but when I finally went out there and I saw, I mean, it is enormous. And when I say Woke can tackle and take on ambitious projects, holy moly, this might be the biggest one yet. But it's amazing. I actually was there on Friday, and it looks fantastic. And Woke's right. There's just so many figures. And what I love about it, Woke, is that there is an honoring of the past and the legacy, and having, you know, important figures like Kwame there, but then also passing the baton, not just to your generation, but to the one that comes after. And that multi-generational component of it, I think, is so important. So for those of you on social media, check out North with an F Wallfest, North Wallfest, and you can see videos of Woke painting. They're doing a great job with the social media. It's right there on Jefferson Street, 2701 Jefferson Street. If you're at TSU on Jefferson Street going east, it's just right there on the right, and you really cannot miss it. It's really remarkable. So I think we have, just like as ever, I feel like we talk a lot. I'm not sure how much time we left for questions, but Woke, do you have a minute to answer if any of these folks have questions?
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Any questions for DaShawn or Woke?
I would just like to say the energy here tonight is wonderful. And when I saw when the Frist opened in 2020, I just wanted to shoot this out to the world, somehow make it viral. Everybody needs to see it. This is just world-class art. And one of my favorite aspects of it, and you all have talked about throughout the night, is it's not just this one-dimensional, it's performing art, it's spoken art, it's mural, it's photography, and it's, I think, the wave of the future. And I hope that I can't wait to see more things coming. I appreciate y'all taking the time to share that with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
we it's all credit goes to Woke and his vision. He just expanded it in so many amazing ways, and you know, introduced me and everyone to so many of these wonderful artists, and we're just thrilled to have it and to have been able to work with them.
Yeah, and I also want to just thank Woke for reaching out. He asked for some photos, and I just sent him a bunch of them. He's like, "Man, this is a bunch of photos. I would have expected all of this," but I just appreciate him for reaching out and you know, believing in me and my vision as well. So
I think it's good to send a lot of photos. It's always good to send a lot when somebody's asking for work. If you send them a lot of it, because you never know, they might just be trying to figure out what they're trying to, you know, what they're trying to say or what they might need, but they don't know what you have, you know. You know, like, so if you just show just almost everything you got or whatever you want to show them, you know, you never know what they might see. DaShawn had I think the most photos in the show, and that's because he sent a lot of photos, and all of them were what I needed for the. They were basically what I needed, because he's been walking around with his camera, so he's able to not just capture just the protest, but he's able to capture other things because he's always documenting. So.
Yes, congratulations to DaShawn. He does have the most photos in the show, and they really are fantastic. So.
Mm-hmm.
well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. You did a great
Yes.
job.
Thank you.
Carl, I have I've saved all these wonderful links that people put in, and I can send it to you to get out to everybody, so everybody doesn't have to write down every single link. There's
Okay.
a
Well,
good,
and I didn't put the social media thing in there, but it's North Fest, right? Woke, isn't that what you're for that project in particular? Okay.
Yep, North Wall Fest, NORF Wall Fest.
Yep.
It's
So
just northwallfest.com.
Oh no, it'll be that's on Instagram. As far as the website, we haven't opened up the website yet for that in particular.
Okay, and I put the link to the exhibit, the N2020 exhibit, in the links, and I also put Woke 3's link website on there and North Studios link on there.
Okay.
And the murals to North Nashville now, it kind of explains what that was on the Frist website. And then I also there's 3 links to the book for the murals for North Nashville on there. I'm not sure which one you rather them go to. There's a Vanderbilt, Barnes & Noble, and a Walmart link. I don't know if it matters which one that they go to if they want to purchase.
well, if they're coming to the Frist Art Museum, they might want to buy it at the Frist Art Museum
There you
shop.
go.
we don't sell things on an online platform yet, but then I would say, you know, certainly I'm guilty of Amazon. It's awfully easy, but Vanderbilt was our partner, and they published the book. So, you know, we'd certainly love to throw business their way.
Mm-hmm.
But that was that's really where kind of this all started. Getting to know Woke was through that project and some of the other artists involved.
Mm-hmm.
looks like we might get a glimpse from Woke.
Oh,
Want to wave at the camera?
You're working on.
Oh
Hey.
yeah, I'm still working on it, but it's I have to finish it today, basically.
Where is
Oh.
that one in the Gulch, Woke? And
Mm-hmm. This is in the Gulch, and everybody else is all painted already.
Is that at the taco place?
Yeah.
I gotta go see that. There's like so many great artists.
Yeah.
what's the
That's-
talk? I don't know where this is. I shows you
It's in the
how.
Gulch. Dustin's is right there. His is way back there, but
Okay. Wow.
and
I don't-
Moby. These are all muralists that are basically from North Nashville. Moby did this one.
Okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And taco.
Then
Is
Dunson
it the
hit,
north side of on the north side of Broadway or on the south side of Broadway?
Capitol View area. So,
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it's it's I don't know, it's a lot. They all finished theirs. Yeah, it just me and her, we the only ones left.
And
I
it's
think we're
gotta
the
be
only
No
ones left
pressure.
still painting.
right. And it's gotta be done today.
Yeah, we gotta finish it today.
Okay.
Wow. Extra thanks for taking time to do this with us.
Oh yes, thank y'all for having me. I'm constantly moving, so I don't even really get a chance to stop right now. Hopefully, I get a vacation. So.
Well, it's great to see that, Woke, and it looks fantastic. I'm gonna have to go check that out for sure.
Yes. Grand opening is in August, I think.
Okay, cool. Well, then you think they could give you more than just till the end of today?
Right.
Oh no. This project's been going. Well, it's been going on since when did we? I don't know when we started painting. Probably about the 7th. I don't know when people started, but I had to also do the wall fest at the same time, and I have this other mural that has to be finished too at the same time. So and that one's just so big, I had to put my time in on that one. But now I'm over here. I have to finish this one by tomorrow. It has to be done, but I'm also working on the other mural tomorrow, so I need to get this one done tonight.
Well, good luck.
Right.
Yeah.
Good luck. So.
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. It's nice to see you again.
Thank you, Katie.
DaShawn, thanks for thinking of us. And
Yes.
No problem. If it weren't for you all, I wouldn't be here.
Thank you.
Thank you, all three. Yes, it's been very nice. It's been fine.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening.
Okay, well, if y'all catch yourselves in North Nashville, just stop by 2701. We're over there.
We'll find you.
Yes. Okay.
Cheer you on. Yes.
Thank you.
So, Carl, before I sign off, do you have any closing comments?
Next meeting, 27th of July. Dawn will be talking about the photos in the Preston show.
Oh, great. And it'll be in person, we're pretty sure. A hybrid in person. And okay, cool.
Are we still working on the show for the Preston, or is that like something we'll talk about later? Like an opening or something?
Oh, we're waiting to see what Preston's
That's
able
right.
to do. It'll be the fall. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I'm signing off. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Have a good night. Be blessed.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night. Emily,
Yes.
that was fantastic.
Wasn't it?
Just
Golly,
such
that
great
was so
and creative
different.
energy.
DaShawn is so gifted. And, Katie, everybody involved, Woke. I mean, it's a great show. So
Yes.
I wonder if they know about the exhibit up at the Speed Museum about witness remembrance for Breonna Taylor. Something very similar happened where they had to pull an exhibit together in less than a year. Instead of museum time, they got a local woman, Tora Worthington, who is the Woke 3 equivalent of Louisville. These two guys have got to.
this is in Louisville.
Oh yeah.
I think Katie just posted something about that on her Instagram. We should have mentioned that.
And we went to it, and it was very meaningful. But what happened was they had a national curator, and they had this young woman who just got into a huge fight with the national curator. This exhibit must have the voice of this community where I live. Not your highfalutin something imposed on it. It's got to be what's real in this community. And she won, and it really nailed it.
Wow.
It's very exciting. So it has the same energy that we saw tonight. And I hope
the two curators would probably be interested in talking to each other.
Woke 3 and Tora Worthington got to be best buddies because they are
my God.
cut from the same cloth.
Tora Worthington, was that her
Yeah,
name?
Tora Worthington. Maybe I'll send you her link. She's at the Speed Museum. She's if you go to the Speed Museum, you'll find her. She's a curator of education or something. I'm not sure what, but
well, somehow we got to make sure they may know each other, but it'd been fun to mention it. Carl, that would be fun to mention in some letter, something, so people know that's also happening.
Okay.
That I think that exhibit is over now. Or soon.
Or soon
Because
over.
it's gonna
the-
be traveling nationally.
Yeah, it's gonna be traveling nationally.
It was
And
featured in the New York Times.
twice.
Wow.
And so it'd just be a pity that we're so close together and not know each other.
Right, right. All right. All right, I'm hungry. I'm gonna actually
Okay.
end the meeting.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.